to the most badass hockey podcast in all the no land. This is a shot from the point.
It is May 26th, 5 a.m. in the morning, Central European Time. The game was in Newark, New Jersey. The Devils go up 2-0 in the first period, as they had in other periods against the New York Rangers. The Rangers, on their heels, were able to strike back in the second period, playing a near-perfect period of hockey, only to go to overtime with 3 minutes in to drop the Eastern Conference to Martin Brodeur and the New Jersey Devils. This is a painful day for most Ranger fans all over the world because it is a worldwide followed team. The Devils will meet the Los Angeles Kings, and I hope they get swept, Devin on Dave.
Man, that sounded like an obituary, my friend. That was what it was, in a sense. I mean, it really was. I'll tell you this, man, before we get into anything crazy here, for not being a Rangers or a Devils fan,
Sure.
that was fucking freaking entertaining. Man, I'm trying to watch the F-bombs.
It's, watch those F-bombs, because the FCC's watching us.
FCC's watching.
Well, let me tell you something. The FCC would like to watch us if they could, believe me.
Probably.
I'm sure I could have Hans of the German and FCC standing right next to me if he could. The way things are going on the internet, now governments are cornering it. But that's another story for another time.
That could be a whole show in itself.
Yeah, well, we might even touch on that one day. But as far as the New York Rangers go,
I'm sorry, brother.
In one way, I'm relieved. I don't like getting letters that I'm biased or jerk off or what have you. So in this coming series, and I disagree with some of I think a New Jersey Kings series is going to be exciting. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I only hope for the best. I wish both teams luck. I'm not rooting for the Devils. Sorry. But I wish them the best. And it's going to be an interesting series. And I'll be able to concentrate on hockey and become a better sportscaster rather than living and dying with my own team. So
you know what?
Yeah.
Damn all that.
Yeah.
Damn all that. Damn everybody who's giving you any shit. Damn all of that. And I'll tell you what. You're a Rangers fan. There's nothing wrong with it. We're not getting paid. You mourn how you want to mourn. Don't let anybody tell you about being biased and all that crap. We're not on NBC.
Sure.
This is your show.
Frenchie McFrenchman's on NBC.
Yeah. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
You be upset as you want to be.
You
know what? I'm here for you, man.
Good. Then I'm going to vent and cry. And I'm going to start with Frenchie McFrenchman. Early on in the first period when the Rangers are getting shellacked by the Devils, Frenchie McFrenchman made his unbelievably biased comment. The guy that's not supposed to be biased. The guy that doesn't have a stupid podcast. He said, the Rangers took their second penalty in the period after the second goal was scored. Well, Eddie and Doc, this is not the way to get back into a game by taking a penalty. No shit, Sherlock. No shit. I mean, did he say one positive thing the entire series? And he didn't do it in the last one either. And I hope to God they go with the other guy on the bench. I don't even like a reporter in the bench. You get the inside. No, you get his interpretation. And he obviously hates the Rangers.
Yeah.
Which I don't really care. I'm sure Doc Emmerich hates the Rangers too. But he didn't show it because he's a pro. He's a pro. And Frenchie McFrenchman is a rich, snot-nosed kid from New Jersey that stood behind the Pittsburgh Penguin Beds in 1992 and won. And I'm tired of him. And I hope he's gone. And he's not that good. I'd rather listen to Glenn Healy. In fact, you know what? I'll tell you something. If that Frenchie McFrenchman's on, I'm going to switch my broadcast, which I have the full right to do over here in Germany, to Hockey Night in Canada. So I can listen to those buffoons. The only problem is I can't watch Don Cherry in between periods, which is a ripoff. I should be allowed to.
Yeah.
So what'd you think of the game, Dave?
It was exciting, man. I think it was a lot more exciting for me not being a fan and not being invested emotionally in this game. It was a great game to watch. I I didn't catch all of it. I watched the entire third period and all of overtime, and it was really phenomenal. I think the thing that struck me the most was just how the play in the third period just was non-stop.
Yeah.
I mean, the Rangers expended every ounce of energy they had left, it seemed, and Brodeur was just a freaking lockbox in that period.
Absolutely.
It was what an incredible period. That was a great period of hockey. It was a lot of fun to watch. Very exciting. Hitting was picked up, and it's just it's a shame. I really wanted to see this go 7, and
it would have been nice.
It would have been nice.
It would have been nice, but if you saw late in the second, the Rangers I remember I was screaming on the couch. By the way, if you hear snoring, that's my girlfriend. She's been asleep since the first period.
You should stick the microphone in her face and let's catch some of that magic.
If I could stretch it that far, I probably would.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that means right there, but hey, I'm delirious with fatigue.
You and me both, brother. No, if you can see, they couldn't. I was just yelling, ice the puck, and I realized they couldn't. Yeah. They couldn't ice the puck late in the third because they were that tired, and the Rangers put the pressure on they needed to beat the Devils. And like I said, it's a regular season game. They win.
Yeah.
And they couldn't find a way to do that because of exhaustion. And they had simply played too many games, too many overtimes. And their style of play leads them to be more exhausted because they have to constantly be defensive-minded. They have to constantly get back and take shots. And that has a physical wear. If the Rangers were to win this series, it would have been nothing short of a miracle. They got lucky in the last series, which we covered. They got extremely lucky in certain spots.
They did. They really did.
And I think it is fair to say that the better team won this series. They weren't much better, but because they played better.
It may even be more fair to say that the breaks that they caught in the Capitals series, they simply didn't catch in this series.
Of course.
The bounces didn't quite go their way like they did against the Capitals.
Sure.
They didn't have Joel Ward with a erroneous 5-minute double major, whatever the hell that happened, double minor, whatever the hell that was.
Sure.
It's just sometimes it just doesn't work out. But they still played a hell of a series, and the Rangers got a lot to be proud of, even with the questions. And there is a lot of questions going into next year for the Rangers.
Sure.
You're still going to compete. You're still going to go to the playoffs. I don't think there's any questions. I just think you need a star.
Absolutely. I think and I think a lot of Ranger fans are shaking their head when you say that. But we got Richards and Gabrick. Well, they didn't perform. They're not stars anymore.
No.
They didn't come up. And who did perform was Mr. Kreider.
Yep.
And don't expect Kreider to be in uniform next year. Do not expect him to be in a Ranger uniform next year. Expect him. Oh God, so do I. But they're going to have to. They're going to. That is going to be the common knowledge or the common theory that the Rangers need to put some star power on. And the two names that have been floated thus far were Nash over there in Columbus, who hasn't done anything in the playoffs because he's been in such a horrible expansion team, and Parise is looking to leave New Jersey, as rumor has it. And Parise would be a nice fit. Parise would be a nice fit. I'd rather have Parise in some ways because of his playoff experience. And he is a leader. He's a real leader. The only problem I see with Parise is possibly creating a situation with the two captains. Because who do you go with in a situation like this? This is Callahan's team. And he showed it. He scored a goal. He played real tough. And he's a real grinder. He's probably... most captains are high-powered offensive players like Polby.
Yeah.
You don't see that. A player like a utility player like Callahan that can put it in the net from time to time. So I hope Kreider's in uniform, but don't expect it because this is New York. And New York has to have a star. And New York, despite whether it's better for the team or not. And you have to ask yourself, hang on a second, Dave.
You're good. Go ahead.
I apologize.
No, it was more of a hiccup than anything else. Go ahead.
Look at the Washington Capitals and the way they played Ovi. Do you think by bringing a star to New York next season would make things any better? Would a star in a system like Tortorella has even be able to perform? We saw what happened to Ovi. We cut his ice time down.
Yeah.
And if you bring a big star like Nash or Parise or God knows what else is out there? Is it going to have a positive effect? You're right. The Rangers are going to make the playoffs next season. There's no doubt about it. They've proven to be a top-flight elite NHL team. But there's a lot of elite NHL teams. I mean, Brett Hull was on a lot of teams in St. Louis that never won a Stanley Cup. That never won the Stanley Cup. And will this answer the questions? I think Tortorella has something to answer for. I'm not calling for firing him. I think it would be a really bad idea to fire Tortorella. Believe me, it's being talked about in New York as we speak, whether this guy belongs on the team or not. I can't see a positive firing Tortorella. But the moves they make next season and the questions that they have to ask themselves, maybe we should have had the defenseman pinching earlier in the series. Maybe changes should be made. Tortorella did make changes in this game, and they were successful, even though they went down 2-0. But it was too little, too late, like most of Tortorella's moves. Is he going to change? Is he going to do something different?
Well, I think that's the only question that could lead to them making a coaching change. Because maybe they're feeling all this defensive-minded play that Tortorella likes to do is just not going to get them to the next level. And we know that the league is a copycat league. Whatever is successful, teams are going to like to go with it. And maybe they want to go in a direction of more scoring and less slow down type of tempo and try to bring. I don't know. It's such a hard thing because they were the number one seed. It's not like it's just can be taken as a bad loss and move on. They didn't perform particularly well in the playoffs at times. You know, sometimes it happens. Exhaustion sets in. Matchups are bad. I mean, there's a ton of excuses. Not even excuses. I don't want to sound bad. Tons of reasons.
Sure.
You know, it's a lot of assessment. There's going to be a lot of talk in the offseason. It's going to be an interesting offseason.
I can't wait. And the more interesting the offseason is, the more likely we can keep this thing going.
Yeah, because it's going to be crazy.
Because daily shows are not going to be our forte during the regular season.
Nah. It's
going to be a little too difficult to do that. But if we could get a situation where we're getting a lot, like I guess the awards ceremony will be afterwards. So we can do a weekly show, and that's kind of what I want to do. One weekly show, one stupid video, just like I did with good old Scotty. You didn't like that video, you said.
It's not that I didn't like it. I don't know. It just didn't hit me. As a guy who used to do a lot of skits and stuff, it's just I know how difficult it can be. It wasn't bad. It was humorous.
It was spectacular. That was the best video I ever made. That was spectacular.
You know what? Damn it, you're right. It was the great. No, you know what? I'm not going to pander to you, dickhead. I'm going to kick you while you're down on the ground, licking your wounds. That's the type of friend I am.
Yeah.
The Rangers lost and your video was shit. Now you feel like you're at home.
I don't know whether I'm hurting more at my video being shit. I can control that. I can't control what's going on in the ice.
I don't mean that. I was kidding.
I know.
I just wanted to make...
I'm from New Jersey.
You feel like you were back in Jersey.
I'm a Ranger fan from New Jersey. That's not exactly an easy thing.
No, it's not. It can't be easy.
If I was I'd call out of work.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking Game 6, 1994, going into the Meadowlands, as it was called at the time, later the Continental Arena, whatever it was called, I don't know. And I remember thinking, how can I play sick tomorrow if the Rangers lose this? But thankfully, Marc Messier saved me from the ultimate pain, and they went on to win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
They're...
Game 6.
Game 6. And I think that's the problem. They don't have a player like Messier. Not that there's too many players like that, but they don't have an offensive powerhouse like Messier.
Yeah.
Or even anything close.
I'm trying to think.
They don't have a guy like Kovalchuk.
No, who played a really good game, by the way.
Spectacular. Did real well.
Game 6, 1994. I'm trying to think what I was thinking in Game 6, 9. Probably why is my pee-pee getting hard? I was 11.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I was just figuring stuff out.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
I was a junior in high school.
You're older.
I'm much older than you.
If you were a few years older, I'd be able to call you your elder. You're an elder gentleman, not an older man, but an elder gentleman.
Well, you outranked me in the military. Makes you feel any better.
Well, yeah, because of my last day. I made my E5 on the last day. Oh, yeah.
Thanks for the work.
Yeah, pretty much.
Here you go. Here's your promotion. Tomorrow you're out
My
of here.
retirement up a little bit. Hey, I'll take it.
Sure. Did you make anybody push?
Not on the last day.
No.
I wasn't in uniform forever, man.
Yeah, I know.
Pretty much the last 2 years I was in, I think I did maybe 6 days where I actually came in.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was great.
Yeah,
I got
imagine.
paid. It would no. I would very, very welcomely change all of that to have my health back.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah. But sitting around playing video games probably wasn't too bad either.
You know what? Not for the sacrifice that I've had to make. Not for this.
No.
This sucks.
No, I imagine. I think about you, Dave. I think about you a lot.
I appreciate that, man.
Enough of this love fest.
I'm really sorry about the Rangers.
Any final comments on them?
No, I don't know what else to say.
The better team won. I think it's fair to say the better team won. There's no quit on a New York Ranger hockey team.
He did not quit.
I will honestly say one of the things they have better than the 94 team is there is just I saw the 94 team fall apart in spots. I'm not saying they were quitters, but they did fall apart in spots. This team never quits. They never think they're out of it. And that's when the breaks did go their way. They were able to take advantage of it.
Yeah, they could have tucked their tail and walked away when they were down 2-0 in the first period of this game. They didn't. They fought, they stuck in, and they played a hell of a game.
Well, when the Devils in the last game, I think they won 4-1, and they had hit an empty net goal, and the Rangers were still, fighting for a goal that would have been relatively worthless, and they were fighting for it like it was, Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final.
Yeah.
So I think it shows the character that they have. And I think
or they're just terrified of Tortorella. Yeah, Tortorella probably beats them behind scenes.
Well, that's what I do like about Tortorella. That's what I do like about Tortorella. I'm glad they're afraid of him. I just don't like his decisions. And you saw him coming out and like, hey guys, let's go out there and have fun. Well, maybe you should have done that a little earlier. Maybe you shouldn't have benched Delzato because he had a lousy day. And I think the mistakes Delzato made were exhaustion related, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
But when you're on a team like the Rangers and you're on a situation like that, you can't sit and talk, I'm tired. You can't do that. I mean, I was in the Army. You can't do that.
No, you're playing in the biggest market in the country in New York.
Sure.
You're under the biggest scrutiny, the biggest spotlight, and that does play a factor. There's no question.
Yeah, but you can't cry and whine, and you can't do what Mike Smith did, which leads to our next story.
Oh, God, do we really have to do this again? Because I'm going to go to jail.
Well, we pretty much covered it, and I just didn't want to say that Mike Smith's quote was, if Rafi Torres got 25 games, Brown should be banned for life. Now, he was being kind of ironic. He wasn't I don't think he actually meant that, but it is making an excuse for Torres, and it is making an excuse for getting beat by the Kings. And I don't think Shanahan even looked at, I wonder if he even looked at that hit, because it wasn't a deliberate hit. No. You can check, I'd play the video if I could, but you can check Brown's eyes. He's looking at the shoulder to throw the hit. And his legs got tied up. And to think that he would purposely throw his legs in front of him, he was in just as much danger.
You don't throw a thigh block with the intent to injure. You just don't do it. It's stupid. It makes no sense.
You could hip check like that and clip. You could clip like that, but that wasn't the obviously wasn't the intent.
Yeah, the whole interview that Smith did was nothing but just a long. I watched the entire interview that he had. It's just nothing but a series of whining comments.
Oh, you saw the interview? Actually, I read.
Yeah, I watched the entire. I watched the interview. He's a whining little baby, and it pisses me off that he would even bring it up like that, saying, even bringing up the Torres hit in any regard to the Brown hit is just insulting to anyone who knows the game.
It's just stupid.
It pisses me off.
It's stupid.
I hope he never blocks another goal in his career.
Yeah, fine.
I'm done with him. I now do not like the Coyotes as long as he is on the team.
Coyotes are a difficult team to like, and I'm not just saying that to goof on Kyle. They're a very difficult team to like.
I agree. I wasn't even going to bring Kyle up on this one.
No, I will.
Yeah, that's okay. He's very awkward. He's an awkward man.
The other thing that's interesting about this story is the fact that the NHL is investigating Shane Doan's comments and I guess Hansel's comments to Brown right after he scored the power play goal that led them to the Stanley Cup final. And don't expect suspensions, expect something, expect
what did he say? All he kept saying was, not now. Not now.
I don't know exactly what was said down there. I mean, they seemed like they were arguing, but you got to understand something. That handshake is sacred.
Yeah, I know.
In the NHL, and it should be sacred. And you lost the game, and they were even crying and whining about the goal that was scored, saying there was some kind of hand pass. I don't know where they got that from.
Which is non-existent.
I think it just shows where they're at. I guess that's the.
They're immature, undisciplined, and they don't know. They got lucky when they got past the Blackhawks, absolutely. And they can't take the fact that they were just outworked by a better team, so they whine and cry like an undisciplined little baby team that they are.
The Blackhawks beat themselves.
Oh, the Blackhawks were, they were taken out by a lot of things in that series. I know they wish they could have that one back.
I'm sure, especially seeing the character of this team, and I know the Blackhawks have much better character on their team.
It just sucks so bad, the injuries that just continue to happen.
The Taze injury really affected them, maybe even more than the
Taze not knowing loss. If he was 100%.
Yeah.
Hosa's had injury problems, so see him get hurt like that sucks. Kane has battled through not anything serious, but it just sucks that some of these players, and I'll even throw Crosby with the Penguins into the same category because of all the concussion thing. Mm-hmm. It's just sad that these great players, and as much as we goof on Crosby, we can't deny he has immense talent.
No, he sure does.
He might be a baby, he might be a punk, but he has amazing talent.
You need a bad guy. You need a bad guy for the story. Crosby's it. Shooter Gavin.
Yeah.
She's Shooter Gavin.
But it's just sad to see all of these things happen to these young, talented players, because the only ones who's missing out from, the only who's, aside from them, because it's affecting their ability to play, is the fans.
Yeah.
So when you get a thug like Torres deliberately taking out someone like Hossa, it pisses me off.
Sure, especially if it's your team. Well, look, you guys are both in the Western Conference. Look for I'll tell you this right now. I am watching the first Blackhawks Coyotes game next year because I'm going to find a way to.
They won't retaliate.
You don't think so?
No. Queensville will not let that happen.
No.
No. The team's too disciplined. They got Seabrook won't allow that to happen. Kane won't allow that to happen. It would be stupid. Why allow someone to get possibly get hurt or suspended, especially if it's a retaliatory type thing? There could be a serious suspension that happens.
That's what enforcers are for. That's what enforcers are for.
Yeah, but for what? It's over. It's done. It's a new season. Let it go. There's no point in trying to do something that it'd be essentially pointless.
Boy, you're fair. Not me.
Well, believe me, I would like to see the guy get hit by a car. Not die from it, just get hit by a car.
You can't say that.
But it does need to happen on the ring. Karma will get his ass eventually.
All right, well, how about a beautiful hit check thrown right into his gut and flipping over?
Yeah.
That would be enjoyable. And then
somebody that just takes them off now.
Yeah, somebody skates over and says, "Hey, remember Hossa? Yeah, you don't. How you do? How you do?"
Oh, well, yeah.
Well, the NHL is investigating this incident. I have mixed feelings about that, but I mean, it's very clear. And you have to behave yourself in that handshake, whether you like what happened or not. The Buffalo Sabres behaved themselves when they got screwed in 1999 with no goal. Brett Hull's foot was in the crease. It was very clear. And they had forced that stupid role all year. It was an embarrassment to the NHL. And but they didn't act like jackasses. They acted like a hockey team. And they walked it off. And the Buffalo Sabres got screwed in that Stanley Cup. I know First Sergeant Shea feels it every day. No goal. You've seen the sign, no goal. And I don't even like Buffalo. Because they had Pat LaFontaine. And he played for the Islanders way too long for me to like him. Yeah, he's American.
Oh, still sounds French.
No, he's American. Yeah, well, I think he's a Frenchie, but I mean, he's a Frenchie American.
Okay,
no. I like a good Frenchie in the team. As long as he scores goals or keeps them out, one or two.
There was a to keep this going along a little bit, there was a story that erupted that came out during the game. I was watching it, and I found it interesting. I know you heard it too.
What's up?
That it's reported that the Dominator, Dominic Hasek, at the age of 47, wants to come out of retirement and play in the NHL again. What do you think of this?
Well, I think it's the Rangers won the Stanley Cup in 1929. It's nice to have somebody that actually witnessed it that's still in the league,
Yeah.
And I'm all for that. I mean, I think Dominic is probably extremely bored with all his millions in the Czech Republic, and he probably watches the KHL over here and says, Jesus, they're terrible. And I could do that. And he's going to find out that is just not the case. And
47,
if he goes to a training camp, if he is to go to a training camp, expect him never to make that team. Yeah. And he's going to want a lot of money, too. He's going to want a a money because
you think I know when he had his last run, he came back to the Blackhawks before he retired again. Yeah. He didn't play. He didn't command a lot of money then.
Yeah.
When he was backing up, when he was on the same team as I believe when we had Emery still and Belfour.
Mm-hmm.
I know for a short period of time they were back together.
Yeah.
And he didn't command a lot of money then. I don't know if he's coming back at 47. It's not for a check.
If you have an ego to think you can play professional hockey at the highest level at 47 years old, and I guess maybe if he comes back and has a good season, boy, will I be embarrassed. But guess what? I'm not going to be. You probably have enough ego to ask for more money than God. I can only see a. I can't see who could sign. Who could justify signing him? Who?
I don't know.
Who could justify signing him? I don't know. I loved him. He did things goaltenders had never done before. Since he's great. He's fun to watch. Playing a lot of teams. Won some cups. Don't embarrass yourself, Dominic. Don't embarrass yourself. Go coach a hockey team.
I agree. I agree with that.
Jesus.
Go challenge Patrick Waugh to a fight on Celebrity Boxing.
I'd watch that.
I'd pay to watch that.
God, 47 years old. You don't think your reflexes are slightly different than maybe they were 7 or 8 years ago? And you'd be 40 then.
You think he was playing NHL 12 and going, man, my reflexes are still good? I don't know why he sounds like Dracula, but...
they all sound like Dracula.
They all sound like Dracula, I guess.
Yeah, checks.
I can play goalie. As long as there is no blood.
Blah.
But I
will suck your Dominic. Blah. 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 I'm a vampire. I can play goalie. I live forever. I'm 47 years old. Most people don't know I'm 447 years old.
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm just a vampire.
The Dominator.
Blah.
Blah. Yeah, okay.
I don't know. I think it's ridiculous.
It'd be interesting.
Anything else in hockey? Not much. Stanley Cup starts Wednesday. You want to talk about the matchup?
Yeah, let's do an early preview.
Yeah, Kings win. I hope.
You know what? I'm gonna. Okay, all right. I just for symmetry, and I want to see him go. For some odd reason, I want to see him go out on top. I'm gonna go with. I know I said in the last show that the Kings, if the Devils are in it, the Kings will win in 5. I know I said that.
Okay. Okay, but I didn't hold you to it though.
I know. I'm changing my pick, and I might change it again before Wednesday. Okay. But as of right this second, Brodeur is gonna go out with a title. He will retire after he wins the title in 6 games.
Oh, I'm sick. That hurt me more than watching that basketball.
I'm sorry.
I'm serious. That just makes me want. I'm literally thinking about throwing up.
I apologize.
Oh boy.
I'm sorry. I just for some reason I feel it in my bones.
Yeah, so do I. But there's why I'm sick. So do I. Sure. Why not?
I like good stories. I like when great players go out on top. I love when Elway retired after he won his. I love that. The 2 in a row that he won. I love that. I love when you walk away with your head held high, I
didn't like Elway either.
I know you didn't.
No.
You need to get over that one.
I don't like the way quarterbacks get sunshine pumped up their ass by the media. And you should know that better anyway, being such a big Brett Favre fan.
Yeah, but I hate him on a personal level too. I just don't like his face.
I don't hate anybody on a personal level.
Oh, I do.
I'm trying to think.
I can hate very deep.
I hated. Maybe this is a good time too. I hated Eric Lindros on a perfect personal level, even though I never really knew the guy. And in 1995, it was my senior year of high school. Was it 95? Yeah, it had to have been. They had. Remember, the season was cut short that year.
Yeah.
And my buddy got preseason tickets for Devils Flyers, and I'll take any hockey tickets. I watch a roller hockey game. I love watching a game. It just gives me a special feeling. I like the smell. Except of equipment that smells like shit. Yeah. But I like the smell of a hockey game. I like the ice. I even like going to roller hockey games. I just love it. Love hockey. Love that game. So I went to the Flyers game, and we were doing some underage drinking.
Uh-oh.
And I don't know how his mother didn't see it, but she didn't. It was amazing. She's like Edith Bunker. I don't remember the guy. I wish I remember the guy I went with. I didn't even know him that well. I think he was just trying to be my friend. You know? I don't know. I shouldn't say it. Because if the guy gets in contact with me, he's going to say, that's not true. And it probably wasn't. It sounded good, fucko.
You want to be friends? You come to hockey with me.
So Eric Lindros was there. And I decided to hate him for no reason because I was a rabid sports fan. And this was one of the episodes that got me away from being an idiot rabid sports fan. I learned from this incident. I, strangely enough, do a lot of shtick on this show, and I do a lot of shtick for people that'll listen to me. Yeah. I am not affected by this Ranger loss whatsoever. On a serious level, I am not. And the reason I'm not affected by a serious loss at this level is because it's a game.
Yeah.
And if you really hate somebody, I mean really, really hate somebody, you got a problem. You got a big problem. Sorry, it's going to get serious. I don't care.
I don't care either.
And I had a dartboard with Eric Lindros on it. And I didn't like Eric Lindros because he was supposed to take the torch from Lemieux and Gretzky and what have you. And he never quite did that, which I saw very early and no one believed me. He got MVP awards that Yager should have had. He got all sorts of sunshine pumped up his ass. He went to the Stanley Cup Finals in 2006, did nothing. He did nothing when he was on Team Canada in the World Cup, one of the best international, 1996 World Cup. He never really lived up to his potential, no matter how much sunshine was pumped up his ass. At least Brett Favre won something.
Well, here's for me. I would rather hate a sports figure that I will never meet, that I can never act on any of my anger. I'd rather hate a sports figure, someone who's almost mythical, than hate somebody for real, which I can honestly say.
But they are real. That's the thing.
No. You got to understand, they're not. They're not. In this type of sense, the way that we watch them on television, the way that we know them from television, they're not real to us in that sense. No. They're not tangible. Sure. They're not somebody, we can never act on our emotions if you love or hate somebody, but when you love or hate someone in real life, that is tangible. And I can honestly say, there is not one person that I have ever physically met that I can honestly say that I hate. Yeah. There's people that I dislike, but there's not one person I've ever physically met that I could say that I hate. But I do hate Brett Favre. Probably for the fact that I will never meet him, and I hate his portrayal of what he is and what he represents in sports.
So you hate his portrayal. That's not him, man. That's what the media does for him. And that's where I'm going with the story.
That's my whole point. That's why I think it's completely healthy to hate sports figures and entertainment figures, because really nothing can come up of it. I'm not Hinckley. Yeah. I'm not going to try to impress Jodie Foster by shooting. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not attacking you. I'm just attacking the hate in general. It's just
my position.
It's out of control, and I have dipped into this stupid hate on two occasions. One time with Martin Brodeur and one time with Lindros. I'll tell the Martin Brodeur story another time. And we saw, and he was probably only 21 at the time, 21 or 22. And he came out, into the, I guess he has equipment check or there's some kind of problem. And he looked kind of frustrated. He was walking out towards the Philadelphia locker room. And I saw him, and he was real close. And I noticed on the top of his head, he seemed to be losing his hair. And to me, being like all of 17 years old, I thought it was so funny a guy his age is losing his hair. I thought that never happened. So it must be really great for a big hockey star to lose his hair. And I yelled at the top of my lungs, grow hair! I yelled, grow hair, and thinking it was really funny. All my buddies laughed. And then he turned around. And then he looked at me. And I got scared. Because he's 6'5".
Yeah.
250 pounds.
It's like when you throw a rock at the lion at the zoo and you realize maybe this fence isn't high enough.
And when he looked at me, the laughter from my friends, or whoever was there, I didn't even remember who was there at the time, turned to silence. Because at that moment we noticed, why are we talking to this guy this way? We don't really know him. He's just a hockey player. He's just trying to do his job. And I felt something that maybe some of you don't feel, but you should. I felt embarrassment. I was embarrassed by what happened. I wouldn't do that to a kid at a hockey game. I wouldn't do that to anybody. And it's just, you don't want to engage in that. My father said to me a long time ago, which I think I've gotten over, I made some crack about religion. He says, what do you mean? You are religious. You worship the Rangers, and you go to church whenever you can get a ticket. And I was mad when he said that. I thought it was quite a slight, but it was quite true. And I think we kind of got to examine ourselves sometimes on how much we put into this. I am not upset at all. Not even a little bit. I mean, I would love them to win. And I'm happy for the Devils. I'm happy for Brodeur. I do not hate Martin Brodeur. I do not hate Sidney Crosby. But I think we got to kind of check ourselves. There's a lot of 20 and 30 suspects living with their parents back home. And I know them. And some of them are close friends that are in this sort of rut because of the society we have today that is not... Usually guys like us, we'd go to a steel mill, or we had jobs for us. We don't have stuff like that anymore. So it's like you said, sports is the last place we go. And working class, middle class guys like me and you, working class guys, I think I'm more middle class. You're like working class, I'm assuming. Right?
I'm lower class. I live in an attic, brother. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, now we're all broke, but that's because we're in the Army. But there's no place for them, and they start to worship sports. They don't have... girlfriends. If they do, they're just kind of passing by, live with their parents in their basement or what have you, and they get wrapped up in this. And you know what? That's not a good way to go. And worshiping sports is a bad thing. Now, that sounds really funny from somebody who has a freaking sports podcast.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of hypocrisy here.
Sure there is. And I'm going to explain that right now.
And I think you're taking things to a little bit of extreme level. I think we're talking about extremes here, and a lot of people that might be listening...
I'm talking about extremes. I'm talking about extreme people.
Yeah, but I don't know if people that are listening are going to be able to discern what you're saying from the reality of what you're talking about.
Well, I'll end it like this. There's nothing wrong with having a Spocky podcast. There's nothing... But at no time do I ever worship what goes on. And I think, some people should kind of examine themselves and how far they take it. If it's just fun and games, that's great. But if you're sitting there yelling and trying to hurt people's feelings and athletes that you don't know and people that you know, I think that gets a little borderline on psychotic. And I wanted to bring that up. I've been dying to bring that up. And I guess this show might suck because I got serious for a second.
No, it's not about sucking. It's not about anything like that. I think the biggest thing, you know what, a lot of people out there might appreciate where we're going right here, because this is a really good conversation to have about sports and hero worship. And you and I have talked about this at length before.
Absolutely.
And a lot of that I'm in agreement with you. But I also feel that you know how I feel about sports. It is the last sanctuary that we have.
Sure.
But it's also one of the main reasons why it's so wonderful is because you can buy a ticket and go express your feelings in a free, open market.
That's an argument. Yeah.
It's a very, yes. Are there real emotions out there? Do some players get hurt by the boos and the grow hair comments and stuff? Yes. Sure. But you know what? Most of them, I'd say, and I'm saying this because of what a lot of people say after their careers are over, they don't hear almost any of it anymore.
Yeah.
It just goes off of them because it's a part of the game. For good, bad, or indifferent, everything that we've created in our society, and I'm not saying it's a good thing, is just part of how things are, the culture of sports.
Look, I know these guys are going to get their balls busted. And I think there's a limit to where you can bust their balls. And I bust their balls on here. No, but you know what? I don't do anything on here that I didn't do in the Army, and I don't do anything on here that I wouldn't take in reverse. It's a joke. It's shtick. It's fun. But when you start getting real personal like that, super personal, and yeah, I call Brodeur Uncle Daddy, and it's a goof. It's a goof. But it's nothing that I wouldn't take if I was in the same situation. I'm talking about goofing and hating. What I said to Lynch Ross was in hate, and that's not necessary. If I would have just said it as his friend and goofing around, no, it's because I actually hate it, and I think that's what I'm trying to get across. We get wrapped up. A good movie to watch is a movie called The Fan. It's about a wild New York Giants fan, and I know a lot of guys back. He lives in Staten Island, and he worships the Giant. He's flushed his entire life down the toilet, and I think the movie's just a comedy, but I think it represents a lot of people.
The Fan's not a comedy.
Not The Fan. Oh, Big Fan. Excuse me, Big Fan.
I was like, are you talking about the Wesley Snipes, Robert De Niro
No,
movie?
no, not at all.
That's not funny.
Big fan. A big fan. It's actually a really good film if you haven't seen it. It's about the New York Giants, or a guy. The scenario is this. He works for the New York Giants. He lives with his parents. He calls basically WFAN in New York constantly, and he lives for the Giants, and his whole life is kind of like squandered. He sees his Giants quarterback in his neighborhood, which is kind of run down. And he follows them all the way to Scores inside New York City. And he gets the guts with his buddy to say, hey, listen, I saw you in my neighborhood. I just want to come over and say hello. The player initially is happy to see them, but when he finds out that he saw him in Staten Island, he freaks out because he was buying drugs. Really real scenario. Great film, by the way. And he beats this guy with an inch of his life.
Wow.
Him and his posse. And there's big games coming up for the New York Giants. Real big games. And this guy has to make a decision. Does he make a federal case out of this and keep this guy out of it because he's going to get suspended and he's not going to play in a game? Or does he take one for his team? And that's where I'm talking, where that kind of hate will make you do. And it's the story is about it. And there are people out there like this. This story hits very close to home for being a lot of people. And that's what I'm talking about. No, this is the beginning.
Okay.
The beginning is
nobody
hair,
listening.
and it just
I
gets out of
guarantee
control.
you made that correlation.
Sure. You don't think so?
I think you. No one.
I did.
Nobody. When you started this conversation, nobody. I guarantee you, nobody out there listening right now thought that's where you were heading with.
Well, I good because that's and I deliberately
because I certainly didn't.
I deliberately did that.
You just punched me right in the face.
I started with that, and I deliberately meant to mention this film. Big fan. Great film. Really entertaining and very funny. And real. Sort of like the conversation we're having now. An honest conversation of sports. And you're probably listening, you're a real hypocrite because you bust people's balls. Yeah, I do. I really do in fun. I really don't hate anybody. And I hope other people don't get involved in hate too. I was at a hockey game once and somebody dumped beer on my friend. He had a Devil shirt on. What kind of crap is that? What kind of garbage is that? And I just want to show that I can sit there and say, hey, you know what? Good luck to the Devils. Good luck to, and I think, when you take a loss, you should be able to do that. Show some class. And I'm going to root against the Devils, and tomorrow I'll have a whole different shtick on how much I hate them, and, expect that. But know that it's supposed to be good fun, and it's not real, and it never should be real, because if it gets real, you might end up in your parents' basement for the rest of your life. Which I could end up with my situation very soon. But
let's just leave it at this.
Sure.
Everybody out there,
I'll let you have the last word. But I really.
You can comment as much as you want after that. This is the last thing that I'd like to say on it, though. Everyone out there, don't take things to extremes.
Absolutely.
A little bit having your opinion and acting on them are two different things.
Absolutely.
Love sports, love who you love, root against who you want to, but don't take things to extremes. And I think hopefully most of you out there are intelligent enough to discern the difference.
Absolutely.
That's all I got.
Absolutely. I really appreciate that, David. I appreciate your challenge.
I respect your opinion, man.
Sure.
I think it's a great opinion.
And you know what? I'll be honest. My opinion isn't totally. There's problems with it, but it's more how I feel.
Only in the fact that it's extreme.
It might be. It might be. I see an extreme road to go down, and we'll leave it at that because I did give you the last word, and I promised I didn't do it.
No, it's cool, man.
You got anything in geek news?
Oh yeah, there is a story I'd like to talk about, and you and I talked about this earlier as well. And yesterday the WWE was in Brazil, and Chris Jericho, one of my all-time favorite wrestlers and someone that I have known personally in the past.
The Lion Tamer, met him in Iraq.
Lionheart Chris Jericho.
Chris
he was having a great match with CM Punk, and in the
his
middle,
father was a New York Ranger, by the way.
Yeah.
Did you know that? The Jericho came from the Jericho Turnpike in Queens. Just one of those.
I didn't know that, but I'm going to act like I did.
Okay.
In the middle of the match, Punk goes to the crowd and grabs a Brazilian flag, holds it up, gets everyone to cheer. Well, Jericho walks up behind Punk, grabs the flag, balls it up, throws it on the mat, steps on it, and kicks it out of the ring.
Brilliant.
The stadium starts going complete ape shit, booing like crazy. The event actually gets stopped.
I'm sure.
They don't know it looks like almost a riot could break out at any second.
Knowing what I know about Brazil, Dave, I hate to interrupt you. I'm surprised the guns didn't come out, and I'm not being extreme there. That's legitimate.
No, you're absolutely right.
Violence in Brazil
I'll touch on that. Why?
Scale, Go ahead.
The match ends. Punk wins. I just mentioned that, and Jericho gets on the microphone, realizing what just happened, and he breaks character and he apologizes vehemently to the crowd. A reason for him apologizing is because when he looked up the rampway, he could see police were starting to come down. For those of you who do not know this, it is against the law to do anything bad to a flag in Brazil. We don't have those certain there are a lot of places, like when Shawn Michaels stuffed the Canadian flag up his nose in 1998 and danced around with it, it wasn't illegal what he did. What Jericho did last night was illegal, and there's a big difference between the two incidences. Now, the WWE, when he went back to the locker room, they talked to the police. They explained the entire situation. That he apologized to the crowd. The police said, "Fine, we're not going to arrest you, but you have to leave the country right now." And he did. He got right out. Today, the WWE has suspended Chris Jericho in what turns out to be a 30-day suspension. And it's turning the internet upside down because everyone is like, is this a work? Is this not a work? Well, it's not a work.
I'm sure it isn't.
It is not a work. It's been reported on TMZ now. People are calling it a work because Jericho had dates to tour with Fozzy in June, and a lot of people were expecting him to leave anyway. But this is different. This is different than when John Bradshaw Layfield, who is a big idiot now, by the way, in my book, and I usually respect his opinion. It's different than when he did the Nazi soldier walk here.
That was nice. I'm sure the Germans really appreciate it. They don't get to hear that every goddamn day,
if he would have yelled "Hail Hitler," which is illegal here, by the way, to do, that would have been a different thing. JBL came to Jericho's defense and said this: "What you do in an entertainment venue is not illegal." For him to get arrested would have been like Anthony Hopkins getting arrested for playing a cannibal in the movie Hannibal.
Well, you know what? Here's the problem, idiot. It's not in America. They have different laws and different rules, and I don't agree with them all either. I don't think Jericho should be arrested, but guess what? That's Brazilian law, and you're guessing another country. There's a lot of laws in Germany that I really discussed. There's a lot of things going on in this continent that are really disgusting and frightening. But you know what? I do respect the law. The only time you don't respect the law is when oppression takes place. And you know what? None of those wrestlers were oppressed. Mr. JBL needs to wake up and smell the coffee. Get a little more worldly.
Well, even a bigger problem with what he said is if Anthony Hopkins would have actually eaten flesh on that set, he would have gotten arrested because it's against the law.
That was unbelievably stupid.
Stupid.
Unbelievably stupid. I have more of a problem with that statement than what Jericho did because I'm sure Jericho honestly didn't know. He should have known.
Horrible about it. He's coming out on Twitter and he's done nothing but talk about how much he loves Brazil and all this. I feel horrible for the guy because I know him. I've known him for a very long time. I've had dinner with the man.
Oh, that's great.
He's a very, very good guy. And that's real. He's 100% real. And it sucks that something like this happens to him at this stage in his career because he is an amazing talent, a great ring general, and just an amazing overall person.
He'll get over it. We'll get over this. We'll move beyond this. I mean, you get by the stunt that they pulled in Germany. They'll get beyond. I'm sure Chris absolutely feels horrible about it, what he did. And, it just goes to show you, when you go to another country, you really should check what's going on. I don't care if it's Mexico or Canada. There are different things. And you know what? They may not go along with American values.
He could have incited a riot by what he did.
Absolutely. Somebody got killed. And you got to respect that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I understand. I remember, what was it? Who was the guy who used to live in Woodbridge? You wouldn't know. Sergeant Slaughter. Yeah. Sergeant Slaughter.
Oh.
Sergeant Slaughter flipped teams during the Gulf War in 1991. Yeah. I'm sure you're old enough to remember that.
Oh, yeah. This is a good story.
Yeah, and he stepped on a flag or did something. But you could do that in America.
Yeah, but do you know about this part of the story?
They had to go under protection.
No, not only that. They were the shtick was he was supposed to set the flag on fire, and he said no.
That might have been oh, sure he did.
He
I wouldn't
drew
have done
the
that
line
either.
there because it was a whole thing. He was supposed to set with the sheik holding it. He was supposed to light the flag on fire.
Way over the top.
And he just said he almost got fired over the whole situation.
Oh, good. I'm glad he
Very interesting. I've heard him talk about it a few times. It's a really interesting story.
Can be. Sergeant Slaughter is playing a role, but he's obviously a real American hero.
Go, Joe.
Yeah, go Joe. Yeah, why isn't he the new G.I. Joe movie? I don't know.
Which just got pushed back almost a half a year.
Are you kidding me? They've been advertising for it.
Yeah, I know, but it just got pushed back.
That's bizarre.
Because they're reformatting it to be 3D.
You got plugs, buddy?
Well, let's start with the only one I really wanted to touch on too much, and that's my show. I hope that everyone that's listening here will come join me over on this guy's take on it. I want to have some people on, start having some fun there, get interactive with all you people out there, and follow me on Twitter at David W. Van Cura. And make sure you go read my brother's reviews on Chaos Hour. His name's Brandon Robbins, and he's brilliant.
And he also sent us a microphone.
And the microphone. Brandon Robbins, Chaos Hour. Check it out.
He sent us a microphone. That's great of Brandon Robbins. Really appreciate that. And I think I might follow suit, get that microphone if I can scrap enough money together. Brilliant. Sounds great. JohnFreemanMusic.com, JohnFreemanMusic.com, JohnFreemanMusic.com. John Freeman is a music musician for hire. And we would like you to check out his website and see if he can do something for you. He also has his personal rock and roll record on there. If you didn't, very diverse rock and roll record. Daring rock and roll record. Not pop crap, but something that comes from my man's heart. And he's able to do it. It's nice to hear non-commercialized garbage. Sure. If people.
I mean, it's nice to hear stuff that's not commercial. You know what I mean? It's good music.
If you complain about music, you have to dig deep. There's always good music. My buddy Jason Hausman, a former guitar player, would always. Whenever I thought the music scene was getting, he was always like, well, I'm listening to this, I'm listening to that, because he really did the work. He went to the oddball record stores, and he would always find great stuff. There's good music out there, and there's talented guys like John that don't get recognized, and guys that are trying to make a living through music, which is it's the entertainment industry. It's really tough, and there's a lot of musicians that don't necessarily stand in front of the stage with 20,000 people. They work in studios, they work on computers all day, and they write jingles. I met a guy in Amsterdam a few years ago. He wrote jingles. He traveled to places to write jingles, and that's what he did for a living. He would have loved to have been a rock star, just didn't work out for him. But that's the kind of artist that John is, and the music you're listening to now is by him. And he just sent me finally the 12-minute version of the hip hop part because he only sent me like a minute and a half or 30 seconds, which doesn't work, and I don't want to edit it all the time. Looping. Yeah, God, it's like, God, he's like, well, do you really need it? Could you just loop it? Yeah, I gotta do it every time. What a pain in the ass. Thanks, John.
Yeah. Does he realize we talk for an hour?
He probably doesn't listen until it says JohnFreemanMusic.com.
I just gotta check out the last 4 minutes. That's when they say my name.
Well, that's it. This has been a very special shot from the point.
A very special shot from the point.
Sure. Good luck to the New Jersey Devils in the rest round. New York Rangers, I really appreciate the effort that you put up. I really appreciate the heart and soul you show. Congratulations to the New York Rangers as well for really fighting hard and making a great season. And there's only good seasons coming. I know it's tough right now, but there's a lot to look forward to. There's a lot to look forward to next year, and we're looking forward to a great Stanley Cup final. I don't care that New Jersey's there and they don't have the big name. I think it's going to be great. LA's going to be there. That's a big market. And hopefully they'll fight it out and it get real ugly and bloody, and not that anybody get hurt. And we'll go 7 in overtime. That'd be nice, huh?
That'd be really good. 7 in overtime on a penalty goal.
A penalty shot. That
penalty
would be
shot.
Oh, God, that'd be something. And that's what I'm rooting for. But I'm taking the Kings in 7.
That's Kings gonna be, yeah. I want to see Marty go out a champ.
Do you really?
Kings are gonna. I do. Oh boy, I do. I'm sorry. Yeah, Try to convince us again how you don't hate Brodeur.
I don't hate Brodeur. I just don't want him to go out as a champion. I want. Well, what's it? So, I mean, if Brodeur becomes champion, that means Dustin Brown misses his opportunity. What do you hate Dustin Brown? Because
he's got plenty of time. This Kings team is young. You know,
Brodeur's got 3 cups.
Yeah, you know what? But you know what's better than 3 cups?
4 cups.
4 cups, and leaving on your terms as a champion.
Martin Brodeur is probably the greatest goaltender that ever walked the planet, and we're not going to see a guy like him in a long time. We didn't think we were going to see a lot of guy like Patrick Waugh, but I mean, he filled the void.
Yeah.
And there's nobody like Marty, and Marty is a spectacular athlete.
40 years old. The saves he made tonight, that toe save in the third particularly was amazing.
Stacked him, and he's had enough cups, and I've had it with him, and. I don't want him to retire, though. I want him to stick around because I like goofing on him.
Yeah.
I like goofing on him.
If he wins, I say he retires. If he loses, he'll come back another year.
I think he comes back either way, but he's probably thinking just that.
Well, if he's already made the decision, he's coming back either way.
It's too difficult. They can't walk away until they embarrass themselves.
If he's already made that decision, then I change my pick. I want the Kings to win in a sweep.
All right. That's an hour, baby.
Yep.
That's an hour, baby. This has been a shot from the point. I'm Tommy C., your host. This is my co-host, Dead on Dave. And I hope you enjoy the Stanley Cup Finals. We will be with you all the way through it. Have a good night. Goodbye. And Brodeur's a schmuck.
Peace.
Take care, everybody. Goodbye.